I'm Margie Marino, and it's my absolute honor to be the director of the New Mexico Museum of Natural History and Science and to welcome all of you tonight to the grand opening of the Da Vinci the Genius exhibition. Thank you so much for being here. We couldn't have done it without you. It was a long process to try to bring this here, and I'm hoping we can get a lot more like it in here in the near future. But we're very excited about this exhibit. It's an inspiring exhibit that we think that the kids it will resonate with the kids, it'll resonate with the people of New Mexico. The science-art connections are ideal for New Mexico, and hopefully it'll make the kids more motivated to do well in school once they've seen what one man can do in his lifetime. Anyway, I just want to, first of all, thank everyone who's here, who provided support for this exhibit. We'll be thanking you many times tonight, but I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart just how grateful I am for you to help us make this happen. And I also wanted to recognize a few people that are here. First of all, our Cabinet Secretary for the Department of Cultural Affairs, Veronica Gonzalez. Where is she? Okay. Senator John Ryan. Okay. Senator James White, where are you? Okay. Of course, Mayor Tim Keller's here, and First Lady Elizabeth Keller, and the Deputy Cabinet Secretary Michael DeLillo, and where are you, Mike? Okay. I want to tell you, I wasn't so sure about this exhibit, and I called Mike about 2 years ago, and he was reading the book on how to think like Da Vinci, and it just made this whole thing run so much more smoothly than it would have run to have his support and energy. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the Cabinet Secretary, Veronica Gonzalez, for a few remarks, and we're going to have some remarks, and then we'll shortly open up the exhibition for you. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone, and it is such a pleasure to join you this evening for this momentous occasion. I am completely overwhelmed, and I'm completely overjoyed to be up here tonight celebrating the kickoff ribbon cutting of this incredible exhibition. So I want to say, well, first of all, I want you to understand who I am and how I relate to this museum. So the Department of Cultural Affairs for the state of New Mexico is actually one of the largest, most robust state cultural agencies in the entire nation. And the Natural History and Science Museum is one of our most precious gems in the state system. I just want to give a round of applause to our beautiful museum. So I want to thank Margie Marino for having this vision to bring this exhibition to New Mexico. This exhibition in this form, it is like one of the most comprehensive forms that has been traveling. And we are one of the select venues, I believe we're one of 3, that has hosted this comprehensive exhibition. And I'm sure Margie or Sherry will talk to you about that. But that's amazing. That is amazing that we have this exhibition in New Mexico for our citizens and for our visitors. It's such a celebration. So I want to give it the round of applause to that. So as you can imagine, this has been a much anticipated exhibition, and I want to acknowledge that being able to bring it here represents a magnificent benchmark for not only our museum, the Natural History and Science Museum, but for the Department of Cultural Affairs, for the City of Albuquerque. Mayor, thank you for being here, and for the state, the entire state of New Mexico. I want to also take this opportunity to thank everyone who has contributed to bringing Da Vinci the Genius here. The comprehensive exhibition is going to be something that we offer not only to our citizens, but to the but to their children and to the children of our state. And I think, when Margie was first talking about whether we could do that, whether we could bring it here, and it was a formidable undertaking, let me tell you. The thing that resonated most in our hearts and everyone that we talked to was, wouldn't it be wonderful if the children of our state had the opportunity to come and experience Da Vinci in this form? So we're very pleased tonight to make it a reality. And I want to say the Department of Cultural Affairs put up almost 100,000. And we said, Margie, can you leverage that? And she went to a critical partner of ours, which is the Museum Foundation. And the Museum Foundation said, how much do you need? We said, about 300,000 more. And they said, we'll do it. And that is what can happen when you leverage state dollars against private investment. Amazing things happen in our state. And I just want to say that this foundation has worked tirelessly to raise this money. And I want to acknowledge Sherry Wells, the director, and the board of trustees. I also want to acknowledge our staff, because without them, nothing would happen here. And they have also worked tirelessly. I mean, weekends and putting in numerous hours and just gearing up for tonight and tomorrow's public opening. And so please give our amazing staff a round of applause. So as you can see, bringing this exhibition to our state has been possible through a true spirit of collaboration and partnership and hard work. And now our citizens, as well as our visitors, can enjoy this absolutely unique and engaging exhibition that will be a fascinating experience for everyone. And I'm particularly excited to say thank you to all of our donors. I want to say from the bottom of my heart as well, a very deep and sincere thank you to all of our sponsors and all of the business community of New Mexico that has stepped up to become ambassadors and to say, we will give and we will get others to give. Thank you so much. So I want to end my remarks by just talking a little bit about Da Vinci. And I want to say that a recent biography was published on Mr. Da Vinci last fall. It was by Walter Isaacson, and I think he captured the spirit of this just incredible, incredible individual who was timeless before actually his time, and his genius is still timeless today. And he said, in his biography, he said, yes, he was a genius, wildly imaginative, passionately curious, and creative across multiple disciplines. But we should be wary of that word. We should be wary about slapping the genius label on Leonardo oddly minimizes him by making it seem as if he were touched by lightning. His early biographer, Gregorio Vasari, a 16th century artist, made this mistake. Sometimes, in a supernatural fashion, a single person is marvelously endowed by heaven with beauty, grace, and talent in such abundance that his every act is divine and everything he does clearly comes from God rather from human art. In fact, Leonardo's genius was a human one, wrought by his own will and ambition. He did not come from being the divine recipient, like Newton or Einstein, of a mind with so much possessing power that we mere mortals cannot fathom it. Leonardo almost had no schooling, and he could barely read Latin or even do long division. His genius was the type we can understand, even take lessons from. It was based on skills we aspire to improve in ourselves, such as curiosity and intense observation. He had an imagination so excitable that it flirted with the edges of fantasy, which is also something we can try to preserve not only in ourselves, but to indulge in our children. Let's make that happen. Good night.
All right. This is an amazing evening and accomplishment that we are really proud of. When we first started this endeavor about 10 months ago, we had one sponsor, and I want to say thank you very much to Jennifer Thomas with Bank of Albuquerque for giving us the hope and being the first sponsor on board. With each presentation that we made, it was amazing to watch our community, our business and community leaders. They got really excited, and the sense of pride just continued to swell. And as Secretary Gonzalez said, everyone became ambassadors for us, and it took a lot of people to make this happen. It's been a big endeavor on the part of the Department of Cultural Affairs. I think it really shows how much this museum is going to be continue to be a bigger part of furthering education in STEAM fields and getting our children throughout New Mexico interested in the careers, because as we've been out talking to people, there are great careers here. We just need to get our kids to be excited about learning and fill those positions. This exhibit represents over a $500,000 investment, and there were a lot of investors and ambassadors, underwriters who came together. So I'd like to recognize them. And it'll take a few minutes. I know you're all anxious to get in and see the exhibit, but I'm just going to call the name and then raise your hand. You're out in the audience. So Intel is our title underwriter. Thank you, Erica and Intel. Albuquerque, the Albuquerque Journal and Starline Printing, and I know I saw Melissa and some other members here from Albuquerque Journal. Thank you very much as a presenting sponsor. And as I said, Bank of Albuquerque. Thank you, Jennifer, and your team for being a presenting sponsor. And then as you go through the exhibit, you're going to see that some underwriters decided to take a specific theme area. And so you'll see their name proudly in front of the different theme areas. So we have Alfa Romeo of Albuquerque. In fact, why don't you hold your applause and I'll read through these, but raise your hand if you're here. Alfa Romeo of Albuquerque, Bodie Aviation, Clifton Larson Allen, DeVita Medical Group, French Funerals and Cremations, Kirkland Federal Credit Union, La Vida Llena and the neighborhoods of Rio Rancho, Lexus of Albuquerque and Lexus of Santa Fe, New Mexico Gas Company, New Mexico Mutual, P&M, Rail Runner and Rio Metro, Sandia Laboratory Federal Credit Union, Sandia National Laboratories, Tima Furniture, and in fact, some of the furniture behind me is donated from Tima. Thank you very much for that. Thornburg Investment, U.S. Bank, UBS Financial Services, Veris Research, and Vision Source of Albuquerque. So as you can see, it took a community of leaders and business leaders and community supporters, and I just want to say thank you to each of our underwriters. Let's give them a big round of applause. I also want to thank Jim Schumacher and his amazing crew with the Cooperage for their catering tonight. Thank you, Jim and team. And a special thanks to Tom Bowman from Lexus of Albuquerque and of course Lexus of Santa Fe, as they say on their commercials. Thank you very much. They are the sponsors of our champagne tonight, and they provided the champagne flute and then the little tote bag that you can take those home with you. Again, I just want to say how proud we are and we appreciate all of your support. Please take some time after the exhibit to go into NatureWorks. You can be the first owners of Da Vinci Bling, Da Vinci products. And then also, we're still raising money. We want to make sure that every K through 12 student throughout New Mexico has an opportunity to come to this exhibit. So we have some pledge cards around if you have an opportunity and you'd like to help get a class here or get a school group that you know. So again, thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Well, it's great to be back where I had my senior prom. You know, like a lot of folks who grew up here, born and raised, our museums are not only museums, but they're community spaces, and we have lots of memories. And so that is one of my earliest. I also remember when the volcano exhibit came in. And when that first came in, that molten floor was like scientific amazing. I mean, everyone thought that was the coolest thing. So anyway, our museum continues to improve in so many ways. And I'm so glad to be here tonight to talk a little bit about this exhibit. Now, we've heard a lot about who made this happen and so forth, so I'm not going to do too much thanking, but it's because I want to share one thing. The sponsors for this are not only sponsoring this exhibit, they're sponsoring it so that kids can come here for free. And that is so important, and that's what we want to do with arts and culture. So thank you, sponsors. Now, some folks know that I actually happen to be an art history major. That was my undergrad degree. So thank you. I mean, there's very few of us out there. And I think I'm the only elected official with an art history major. We'll see if anyone can. So I mention that because I have to say this. Da Vinci is extra, extra special. I mean, we had classes on the guy. But very little, of course, is known about Da Vinci. And all I was going to share with you, ironically, is from the same book that the secretary quoted. So let me just encourage you, if you love the exhibit, read the book. And what our secretary said is spot on. So I'm going to share with you what I found in my notes from sophomore year on my class on Da Vinci. So there were really two things that came out. Number one, that insatiable thirst to understand our human experience in the context of our own bodies, and we see that in biology and the things he worked on, and also, of course, the world around us. That is the trademark of Da Vinci that above all is something that I think we all aspire to, and is something that is fundamental to why we believe in the concept of education and of understanding and of broadening our horizons. But the other thing is that connection between art and science. And as I think about this, there are very few people throughout human history who unify those two themes. But also, I think there are very few cities that unify those two themes, and right here in Albuquerque is one. We think about our history, right? Our arts and culture, our creative economy. And amazingly, we think about science and the labs and the way our history more recently is drastically infused by science. And so in many ways, I think we've got a lot more in common with Da Vinci than almost any other city. And so I'm glad he's here with us tonight. And so I get to do something which is extra fun. We're going to end with a toast. And so folks, sponsors who are here, our cabinet secretary, Sherry, come on up. And if you haven't finished your champagne glass already, you can get it out. And so come on up on stage so we can actually clink glasses. And so I just want to say, first of all, thank you to everyone who came here tonight to celebrate. But also, let's raise our glass and let's give cheers to Da Vinci, to Albuquerque, to New Mexico, and to art and to science. Thank you. Is that it? Oh. So I think everyone is now, I'm last on the list. So I want everyone to go enjoy the exhibit. We do always want to commemorate things with an official proclamation. I shared that speech from my own notes from art history, so I'm going to skip the proclamation. But if you're curious about it, come up here, you can learn all about it. But I think we're all ready to enjoy each other and see the exhibit. So have a wonderful evening and thank you. 3, 2, 1. That was closer. There.